Hi, I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where I'm working with you step by step through each one of the ABRSM Theory Grades. There are lots of resources available to help you on my website. If you go to sharonbill.com, you'll find some free PDF information sheets and you can download those in US letter or A4 to accompany each step of this series. There's also a page there with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials, and you can access information about the books that I have available. I've written an exam technique guide, how to take your ABRSM Music Theory Exam. It's full of tips and techniques on how to best prepare for your exam, and also how to make the best use of your time on exam day when you're working through your exam paper. So if you go to sharonbill.com, you'll find it's all there. If you can give me a like, that would be super, and subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's lots more to come. And so now we're going to continue with paper S at the back of this book. So if you turn with me to page 25, we can have a look at question 4. And so all of the questions refer back to this little extract here. I do recommend that you have a go of this on your own. First of all, it doesn't matter if you go wrong. Always write in pencil, and then you can just rub out if you go wrong, and you'll learn more thoroughly by learning through those mistakes. Now, this shows where the syllabus is still active. We still need to know these performance directions, but from 2018 onwards, the newly revised exam papers will present these as a multiple choice format. Remember, this can be anything from grades 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 accumulated. And so you just got a little bit of revision to do there. I'd just get creative with your revision, but I would go ahead and just give these the full definitions because it's really good revision to do so. So we have a German term here, and that means with expression. And here, peu means more. So now we've got a bit of general information here. The key of the extract here is in F major, we're told. Which other key has the same key signature? So we're looking for related keys. Now I always suggest that at the beginning of a paper, you always sketch out your circle of fifths. So you've got all your major and minor keys and the key signatures all written out first. You've only got to think of that once, and then you can just relax and keep referring back to it. If you're not sure how to do that, there's a tutorial that I've filmed for you explaining all about the circle of fifths, and you'll find the link to that in the description and also in the cards. And so from that you will know that F major is related to D minor and shares that same key signature. I think you first came across that in grade 2. And so now we'll look at this next part of the question. We're asked to draw a bracket over 3 successive notes in the tenor part that make a chromatic scale. And so the tenor part is here. It's in the bass clef, but it's this top part of the bass clef. All of the stems are pointing upwards. We break the rules of stems to show that this is the tenor part, and then the bass part has the stems coming down. That's the way the choral short score writing is, and this is actually part of your grade 5 theory and practice workbook. And although you don't have to now write this out yourself as part of the exam, in the newly revised exam from 2018 onwards, you're not revised to do short score and open score for choral writing. However, I do recommend that you have a go at least one, just to get used to reading choral scores. So we're looking at this tenor line here with all the stems going up, and we're looking for some accidentals to give us a clue that we're going to be either rising or falling chromatically over 3 notes. So here we got a C, a D flat, but then it goes back to a C, so that's no good. We're looking for things to go in step, but B flat to C is too big a step. So let's see what happens here. B flat to C is not chromatic, however C to C sharp is, and then so is D. If you're not sure how to visualise that, sketch out a piano keyboard, and you can see that a C, C sharp D is your chromatic scale. It's worth just sketching one of those out quickly before you start your exam paper. You don't have to complete a work of art, just as a visual reference, even if you don't play piano. And so here is our 1, 2, 3. There is our chromatic scale. So just join that up. There we go. And so keeping this page to hand, because we might still need to refer to that, but we'll look over the page as well. So we need to describe the chords marked X, Y and Z as 1, 2, 4 or 5, and we need to say which position that chord is in, what note is in the bass. And so we're told that the key is F major. So before we go looking, let's just sketch out what it is we're going to be looking at. So we need to just write out chords 1, 2, 4 and 5. So if we're in F major, chord 1 is based on the root note F. So F, G, A, B, C. Of course that'll be B flats, but your key signature will take care of all of that. The first, the third and the fifth, F, A, C. If you find that difficult to do just in your head, just think F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, F, A, C. And just work out your triads that way. So we've got G, B, D, B, D, F, C, E, G. And that's a good double check, because if that's the first, the third and the fifth, that note should give us the basis for our chord 5. So we can just see that that's correct. And then we can mark out which is our root position, first inversion, second inversion. So now we're prepared to go and look back at bar 2 and have a good look at chord X that's marked. So back we go. Chord 2, we have a B, a D and a G. Okay, so let's just bear that in mind. B is at the bottom, B, D, G. And we can see that all of the notes of chord 2 will give us that. But because the B was in the bass, we know that that's the first inversion, so that's chord 2B. Let's go to chord Y in bar 5 now. So we are here. It's incorporating this note as well. So we've got B, D, F, D, B. So B, D, F is the basic notes, and then we've got the D and the B repeated, and the B is in the bass. So B, D, F is chord 4, and the bass note is B, so it's root position. So you can either just leave it as chord 4, or you can just put A, just to be doubly sure to show that you've followed that through. And now the last one, Z, bar 7, here. So we have a C, an A, an F, an A. So just remembering that C is in the bass, that's the lowest note. So C, A, F, A. So chord 1 again here answers all of our, well not again, but chord 1 answers all of our notes. However, because the C is in the bass, we need to say that it's in C position. So we can see that the fifth note of the scale, the first, third, fifth, is the root note of this chord, and that's why we call it chord C. So that's that completed. Let's move on. So now we're asked to rewrite the last tenor and bass notes of bar 2. It's shown with a little arrow. We need to be careful that they sound at the same pitch, so just be careful that you don't go jumping octaves. So keep middle C as your anchor point there, but we need to use the tenor clef. So we've got to put in this new clef and key signature. So the tenor clef is the one that's just a little bit higher. We have sort of a double bar line. And then this second line from the top is middle C that the clef centres around. There we are. And so now we need the key signature. If that's a C, one step down will be a B. And so now let's have a look at bar 2. So we look at the tenor and bass notes of bar 2. So we're looking here. So keeping middle C as our anchor point. There is middle C. So the tenor is one step below that, the B below, and then 1, 2, 3 below that, the G. So if that's middle C, the B below that, just one step is there. And then 1, 2, 3, there's the G, C, B, A, G, that's correct. And so we just need to make sure that the stems show that that's the tenor part, that's the bass part. There we go, so that's not so bad. Let's move on. So now we're asked to write as a breve or a double whole note the enharmonic equivalent of the first soprano note of bar 6 marked with a little arrow. So we need to find a note that is the same pitch, the same sound, and we can call it by a different name and position it slightly differently on the key, on the stave. Again, this is a really useful point to have your piano keyboard handy. So bar 6, let's look at the soprano part. And we're looking at this note here. So this is a C, a note C, not middle C, but the one above that. And so let's turn over and let's think what our options are. So C, we could call that same note B sharp, or we could also call it D double flat. Any one of those would do. B sharp or D double flat is both an answer to give an enharmonic equivalent. So making sure you get the correct range, we can have a B sharp. There's our breve or double whole note, or alternatively the D that's higher, and that would be a double flat. So either one of those will do. So now we've just got a little bit of general information about choral aspects and also some orchestral questions. So give the name of the voice part which lies between the soprano and the alto in the vocal range. Well, that's mezzo-soprano. Can't beat a good mezzo-soprano. There we go. And then now we're asked to name a standard orchestral instrument that could play the soprano part of the extract. So we need to choose a soprano instrument and making sure that it sounds at the same pitch. So we're not going to be octaves out and in the wrong range. So if you were choosing the woodwind family, you would say the flute could do that. That's a soprano instrument. So also is the oboe. So also is the clarinet. And although that's a transposing instrument, it can actually play a note that would sound that exact pitch of the soprano line. If you were choosing brass, you would say trumpet. And I guess if you were saying strings, you would say violin. That's the soprano instrument in the string section. Now we need to say whether the instrument that you've named is transposing or non-transposing. So it depends which one of these that you've chosen. The transposing instruments would be the clarinet and the trumpet. Both of those are in B flat. The flute, the oboe and the violin all play at pitch, so depending which one you've chosen. So I'll just go with flute for the woodwind and say that that's non-transposing. And you could say the same if you'd written oboe or violin, but if you'd written clarinet or trumpet, you must say that that is a transposing instrument. So there we are, that's the end of that question. I do hope that you're finding this helpful. I hope that it's of benefit to you for your studies. I also hope that you're enjoying working through this with me. I'm certainly enjoying working through it with you. If you can give me a like, that would be super, and please do subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's lots more to come. And please do go to sharonbill.com and have a good look around that website and make sure that you make use of all the resource and information that's available there to help you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.